In 1950s England, a family's heartbreak turned into a strange mystery. After losing 2 daughters in what they thought was a tragic accident, John and Florence Pollock had twin girls who seemed to remember lives they'd never lived. Were the Pollock twins proof of reincarnation, or the result of grieving parents who couldn't accept their loss? This is the Bureau of Mysteries, Archive Record 160-E. Today's word is in the quiet town of Hexham, England. The Pollock family lived what seemed like a normal, happy life. John and Florence Pollock, along with their 2 young daughters, Joanna and Jacqueline, were content in their peaceful home. But in May of 1957, tragedy struck. The Pollocks' world was shattered when a car crash claimed the lives of their 2 little girls. It was a devastating blow, one that left John and Florence grieving deeply, unsure of how to move forward in the wake of such an unbearable loss. As time passed, the Pollocks struggled to cope with their grief, but life moved on. Little did they know, fate had something extraordinary in store for them. A year later, Florence discovered she was pregnant, despite doctors telling her she wouldn't conceive again. Initial inspections revealed a single heartbeat, but miraculously, she gave birth to twin girls. While this should have been a positive new chapter, the story that would unfold was anything but ordinary. The birth of twins Gillian and Jennifer in October of 1958 would seem like a blessing, one that would bring hope and healing to the grieving Pollock family. However, from the moment the girls arrived, peculiar details began to emerge. John and Florence couldn't help but notice strange details about their new daughters. Jennifer had a birthmark on her waist that exactly matched the one Jacqueline had in the same spot. Additionally, she had another on her forehead that was shaped like a scar Jacqueline received in a childhood accident. While physical similarities could be explained as genetics, the coincidences didn't stop there. John, a deeply spiritual man and a firm believer in reincarnation, became convinced that the twins were not just their daughters, they were the reborn souls of Joanna and Jacqueline. His wife Florence, a skeptic, dismissed the idea, but the seeds of mystery had been planted, only to grow as they began to see more and more parallels. The family's optimism turned to cautious curiosity. Were these eerie similarities just chance, or the first signs of something far more inexplicable? As the twins grew, strange behaviors began to surface. Behaviors that left the Pollocks questioning everything they thought they knew. Gillian and Jennifer, who had no way of knowing their late sisters, started recognizing toys that had once belonged to Joanna and Jacqueline. Their parents state they would argue over them, claiming ownership in ways that eerily mirrored the behaviors of their deceased siblings. Things took a chilling turn when the twins began recalling specific details about places and events they had never experienced. During a visit to Hexham, Gillian and Jennifer were able to identify landmarks and locations that Joanna and Jacqueline had frequented. They spoke about the school their sisters had attended, and even referenced people the family hadn't met or discussed since the accident. Even more unsettling, the twins seemed to have memories of the fatal car accident. Jennifer in particular exhibited an unexplainable fear of cars, often telling stories of being hit by one and describing details of the accident as if she had lived through it herself. The contrast between John's belief in reincarnation and Florence's skepticism added another layer of tension to their relationship. While John saw these events as undeniable evidence, Florence struggled to rationalize what she was witnessing, questioning whether it was coincidence or the result of their grief influencing the girls' behavior. How could these young children know so much about lives they'd never lived? The strange case of the Pollock twins didn't remain a family secret for long. Word of the twins' strange behavior spread through the small community of Hexham quickly, leaving neighbors both fascinated and unsettled. Rumors of reincarnation grew louder, and soon the case caught the attention of researchers and skeptics alike. One of the most notable investigators was Dr. Ian Stevenson, a renowned psychologist and parapsychologist who specialized in cases of children with past life memories. He documented the Pollock twins as part of his research into reincarnation. Stevenson found their case compelling, particularly the twins' detailed knowledge of their sisters' lives and physical similarities between them, such as Jennifer's birthmarks that matched Jacqueline's scars. While believers pointed to these facts as evidence of reincarnation, skeptics offered alternative explanations. They suggested that the twins' behaviors and knowledge could have been the result of subconscious cues from their grieving parents or older brothers. Florence herself remained conflicted, wrestling with doubt even as the events defied logical explanation. As the Pollock twins grew older, the intrigue surrounding their story continued to intensify. Scientists, spiritualists, and skeptics alike actively debated the case, each side struggling to explain what was happening in the Pollock household. Were these girls living proof of reincarnation, or was there a more earthly explanation hidden beneath the surface? The Pollock family's story reached its most unsettling peak during a trip back to their former home in Hexham. As the family walked through familiar streets, the twins began identifying landmarks and describing places they'd never visited in this lifetime. Gillian pointed out their late sister's favorite park, while Jennifer accurately described details about the school that Joanna and Jacqueline had attended. But it wasn't just their knowledge that disturbed their parents. It was the emotions tied to those memories. Jennifer, in particular, grew visibly uneasy near the site of the fatal car accident, clinging to Florence and saying things that echoed the tragic event. She described the collision with a level of detail far beyond what a child her age should have known, recounting injuries and circumstances that matched the tragedy perfectly. For John, this moment solidified his belief that reincarnation was real. But for Florence, it was a moment of profound confusion, as every logical explanation she clung to seemed to slip away. The twins' behavior and memories continued to defy reason, leaving the Pollocks and anyone who heard their story grappling with the unanswerable. Was this undeniable proof of life after death, or were grief and coincidence playing tricks on the family's mind? As Gillian and Jennifer grew older, the memories and behaviors that had once defined their childhood began to fade. By the time they turned 5, the twins no longer spoke about Joanna and Jacqueline or the tragic accident. The vivid details and strange recognitions that had so deeply unsettled their parents seemed to vanish as they entered a new stage of life. John remained steadfast in his belief that the twins were the reincarnations of his late daughters, but saw their fading memories as a natural part of the cycle, a sign that Joanna and Jacqueline's spirits had found peace. Florence, however, continued to grapple with doubt. While she couldn't deny what she'd witnessed during the twins' early years, she sought more earthly explanations than John, perhaps as a way to reconcile her grief. Cases like the Pollock twins remind us that the lines between life, death, and what lies beyond are never as clear as we'd like to believe. The echoes of the past linger, threading their way into the present in ways we may never fully comprehend. The details of this case resist explanation, birthmarks aligning with old scars, memories that could not be learned, and the undeniable weight of something greater than coincidence. Is this evidence of a cycle far older than we understand? As agents of the Bureau, we catalog, we observe, and we wonder. But the answers remain elusive. Perhaps they always will. Archive record 160-E is closed. For now.